What up, CAUSENETIC family?
Thanks for joining us on the CAUSENETIC podcast.
CAUSENETIC means being a person or thing that gives rise to a phenomenon that is dynamic or energizing.
Hey, we're tackling topics and telling the truth.
I'm Roderick Ross.
And I'm Keith Fenton.
So today, I'm so excited today. Today, our podcast is called The People's Choice.
Ooh.
Featuring none other than the incomparable Congressman Colin Allred. Yay! We are so excited he is joining us today. And before he was a congressman, he was a good old Y kid and Y staffer. So let's go on and put that in the atmosphere.
Well, because that, that's the impact of everything.
Right
I know you're touching some lives right now,
in
but
the Congress space.
But somebody touched your life at the YMCA. Can you talk a little bit about your story at the YMCA?
Oh man, it's almost like asking me what my life story is, really.
I love it.
So I started at the Y when my mom and I moved up to North Dallas. My aunt and uncle helped us move, and we went to a new school, and nobody could pick me up when school got out. And so at first I was taking the bus home, walking to the house, and going in, watching cartoons, playing with toys, not doing my homework. And then we found out about the YMCA after school care program that was offered at my school. And it was affordable and it was a good option. And it gave my family the chance to finish their work and then come get me. And so they signed me up for it. And it really started a 30-year relationship with the Y, to where my counselor at that camp, Derek Smith, is still a good friend of mine to this day. And I went to summer camps at the Y. I came so often that they pretty much started letting me come for free to the Y, to camps there. And as they called it a CIT, a counselor in training, but I was really just there for free. And getting some structured time. My first job was at the Y as a lifeguard and swim teacher, even though I'm not a great swimmer, but I was good enough to teach people how to do that. I came back and worked at the Y between college and the NFL when I needed to have a job. And, basically at every stage of my life, the Y was incredibly, incredibly important to me. And I always say, for a kid who's raised by a single mother in Dallas, where else would I have had the chance to ride horses and go sailing and, shoot a bow and arrow and, be in the outdoors in the way that I was. And I still love being outdoors. I love hiking. People, when they find that out about me, sometimes they're surprised. And I was like, well, you don't know about my experience with the Y. So it's really, for me, there's probably no institution that's been more important for my life than the Y. And I proudly rep the Y everywhere I go.
I love it.
You use a term. You said you are the evangelist. I think Y evangelist or evangelist for the Y.
I love it.
And man, that was so powerful when I heard that. I had to put that one out on my social media a little bit right there.
So basically, you stole his stuff.
No. I gave him credit.
Okay. Well, that's what matters.
Well, I was told that you could give credit first 3 times, but then after that,
Oh, wow.
I'm gonna keep you on for a little bit longer on that break.
All right.
Yeah, think about that one for a little bit.
But you spent some time in some good places, like Baylor. You played at a high level of football. Do you go to the NFL? And now you're in politics. I want to go to the NFL moment because
how did I know we were going to start with the NFL?
Well, because as you get older in life and you've had some
transparency, Congressman. Keith has NFL still aspirations, right? Like he played college ball.
Don't give it up, brother. Don't give it up.
I think I still got me at least one good play in me.
I don't think you do.
And you still have some life in you because you recently played in a football game, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, although, when you bring a linebacker to a touch football game, you're kind of defeating the purpose. So.
Well, that part. Okay.
So tell me your story on your welcome to the NFL moment, whether that's on the field, whether that's the paycheck, whatever. What was your wow, I'm in the NFL now.
Yeah. Well, so, I was undrafted. And so I was trying to make the team in Tennessee Titans. They had about, 12 linebackers when I got there, and only 6 of us were going to make it. And I'm looking around thinking this math is not really making much sense. It's not looking good for the home team. And our first preseason game was against the Saints, and the guy in front of me got injured. And so I was on the opening kickoff. First kickoff of my, NFL career. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to give this everything I got. And I'm running, and I'm just seeing just bodies flying everywhere around me. I mean, it was like, I'm feeling it. If you've seen Saving Private Ryan when they go on the beaches, it was like that level of chaos all around me. People are, getting wiped out, and I think I even got in on the tackle. And I was just like, man, this game is so fast. Wow. I mean, it was so fast, and it wasn't just the speed of action, it was the speed of thought. And, in the NFL, you have people who are professionals who see things coming. And just like in any other job, if you're waiting on something, you can jump on it. And so that's why, sometimes seems so fast in the NFL, because, a guy might know that that's coming and he's all over it, and that's just the way it is. And these are, it's a grown man sport. It's definitely in the NFL a business, but I really enjoyed my teammates. I was lucky enough to be at the same place for 5 years before I hurt my neck. A lot of guys, unfortunately, bounce around a bit. So I got to be in one place with one coaching staff for most of the time. And, when people ask me, what do you miss about the NFL? I always tell them, it's the locker room, because you walk into our locker room and it was like a comedy club, first of all. I mean, it was just so funny. I mean, there's always something outrageous happening, and you got like the countryest boys from the furthest out, and like the kids from like the middle of the city who really had never left it, who are friends and who are working together and getting along. You got people of all different backgrounds from all over the country, and we got to come together as one team. And, I always say, I think I wish more people in Congress had to play team sports, because I feel like if you did, you learn something about where you fit into things and how your role is sometimes to help others. So.
That's my son is playing football. He's so excited. He's he plays for Duncanville, who are headed to the state championship.
Yeah, baby.
Yes, I don't know when I'm watching half the time. I'm not gonna lie, but I'm excited because he's excited. So I'm gonna learn.
Duncanville. I've got some good friends who went there, some teammates who went there. Man, good for them.
Yes, I'm so excited for this kid who is huge, but he's still my sweet potato baby. Don't tell anybody. I can call him sweet potato as long as it's not when he's on the field.
And nor can you call him that when you're talking to America.
Oh.
So what's the transition? You NFL to politics. You mentioned about how you wished more people in politics and Congress could have played team sports. Mm-hmm. What did you bring over from your team sport experience over to the political realm? Yeah,
so I'd always planned to go to law school. My football career was kind of the surprise, and so I went to law school after I hurt my neck in my 5th season, and I got into voting rights work and civil rights work, and ended up working in President Obama's administration. And when his administration came to an end and the new administration was coming in, I was very worried about the country. And I was very worried about really just kind of the model of leadership that I thought was going to be on display. And it was in many ways worse than what I thought it was going to be. And I wanted to find out a way that I could stay involved and that I could serve. And so, there's a congressional district here in Dallas where I grew up that I thought was represented by someone who didn't reflect the values of the place that I grew up in, and places like, the YMCA there. And so I decided to challenge him. He had been unchallenged in 2016. He had no opponent. So This is not exactly like a seat where everybody was thinking that it was going to be a winnable election. And then I was able to become the Democratic nominee and then ultimately won the election by about 7 points. But to me, my time and, running for Congress and now working in Congress is an extension of the work that I was trying to do as a lawyer, which is just basically to create the conditions for people to succeed to me, I think it's, we create opportunities or we can take them away, but we can't create outcomes. And so it's up to us as individuals, if we're given that chance, to take advantage of it. But if we don't give you that chance, then we're failing you. And I know from having grown up, in our Dallas public schools, how many kids didn't get that chance that I got, either because they weren't an athlete or they didn't have some of the advantages that I had. And, their potential is not just a loss for them, it's a loss for us. We would do a lot better as a society, as a city, as a country, if they had been able to fully, realize themselves and do the things that, I know they're capable of. And so to me, that's when I see everything through the lens of a kid who understands that there for the grace of God go I, and so I realized that with a few different breaks here and there, I would be in a very different situation. When you're raised by a single mother who's a public school teacher, not making a lot of money, it's not really thought of that someday you're going to be in Congress, but we've been able to do that. And I know, like I said, that it was places like the Y, people like Derek Smith, people like Diddy Fulbright, who made that possible.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The first time I heard your story and you really talked about coming from a single parent home and really just what most people would think of making well or doing well in spite of, it really resonated with me because it seemed to match my story. And then in some regards, I felt like, dang, maybe I didn't do enough. Like, he's a whole congressman.
Yeah.
I didn't need you to agree right
now.
I'm sorry. I'm making a point.
Well, you are vice president, Madam Vice President.
Well, thank you. You're right. And I do have an impeccable shoe collection. So there's that. But with that being said, if you had to speak directly to you, right? But today, all of those kids who are living in your reality, your past reality is their current reality. And they're not even considering or thinking that, I can be a congressperson one day too. What would you say to them? Like, how would you lift up that population of young people so that, like you said, we can have more representation in future years from kids who started out just like you? Yeah.
Well, I mean, first of all, I would just say that you have so much potential inside you, and you don't even know what you can do. I have to be honest. When I got to Baylor, I thought that it wasn't going to work. I felt like I was straight out of DISD, and I was here at this school with all these people who had fancy cars and fancy clothes, and I felt completely like a fish out of water. And I wanted to go home, and I eventually just realized that the harder I worked, the luckier I got. But I had a lot of help along the way. And when you treat people well, in my experience, as you're going through life, they'll be there for you too when you need them. And it's in the strangest ways. It's people who you never thought you were going to have another conversation with, maybe. But to those kids, I always tell them when I go to schools, particularly in Dallas, I say, I've been sitting in your exact seat. I promise you that, whatever your home life situation is, it's not that different than mine was. And, I'm here to tell you that the range of options is much broader than you can even imagine. When I was in school, I remember we thought, if you were smart, they said you should be a doctor or a lawyer. And so when I went to Baylor, I first tried to be a doctor. Because that was going to be the route. I didn't know anything about being a doctor. I didn't know pre-med and the classes. I took them, and I was working my way through it. It wasn't going great, and so then I thought, well, I'll switch to history and become a lawyer. But since then, I've realized how many other things were out there, that I could have done. And so the range of possibilities, particularly with technology, with the way you can be exposed to the world now, is so broad. And these kids have so much talent. They have so much talent, and it comes out in different ways. And we don't appreciate all of those ways because some of them are not, things that are going to help make someone money or add to, the wealth here of our community. They're things that might add to the wealth of our spirits, and I think that we have to give these kids the ability to see what their potential paths are first, and then give them the tools they need to chase that path. And after that, it's up to them. And it really is. And, it's not always going to work out. And, I got cut my first year with the Titans and had to come back to the Y and was picking up towels and sweeping floors and staying in shape until I got the call to come back. And then I made it the next 4 years. So it's not always going to work out. But, this is the truth is you have to bet on yourself, but you also have to rely on the people around you who love you and care about you. And it might be people that you're surprised by.
Yeah, right. I love that.
And you said 4 years, right? And that is the key to the NFL, though, right? Making it 4 years, if I understand that correctly.
Yeah, I mean, I think you get vested somewhere around there in terms of your retirement and all that. But anyone who plays down in the NFL is good. So you've made it.
So. We talked about this impact on kids and they can do a lot of things. What is something that you have worked on or are working on in Congress right now that's going to really be, these young people today may be able to see an impact from it?
Yeah, I've got 2 young kids myself now, and it's just amazing how hard it is to have children in this country. And that's not saying that for me. I just mean for my mom growing up, it was a real struggle. Childcare was an enormous struggle, especially in those early years before you got to pre-K. And that there's a gap there before we can get our kids even into our schools, that we're losing a lot of people, and we're losing a lot of women in particular out of the workforce who are having to stay home or who are working too many jobs while doing their jobs at home. And, it's something that is holding us back overall as an economy, as a society. And so in the Build Back Better bill, which has been talked about, I think, a lot in ways that people probably don't understand, and seems like there's numbers being used and all that, I try to talk about the policies in it. And the ones that I think are some of the most important for families. Number one is capping the cost of childcare. Now, people are paying unbelievable amounts for childcare if they can afford it. But everybody is paying more, and for the most part, middle class, lower class families are paying more than they can afford because they don't want to leave their kids somewhere that's not safe. And this has gotten actually worse during the pandemic with a lot of child care centers closing. And so costs have even gone up. But we're going to save the average family almost $15,000 a year in childcare with this capping of childcare costs. And then universal pre-K for 3 and 4 year olds. So going all the way to 3-year-olds is a big deal because we know that before you get into pre-K, like I said, it's a struggle oftentimes for childcare. And so expanding pre-K to 3 and 4 year olds to every 3 and 4 year old in the country is really, really, I think, if it's the last thing I ever did in Congress, it'd be one of the things I'm most proud of. And because every dollar we invest in early childhood education, we get at least $7 back in terms of productivity and benefits to the entire society. So this is not just the right thing to do in terms of helping families out. It's the right thing for anyone to do. And then there's the child tax credit, which, is a really big deal because it's sending monthly checks to people just so that they can pay their bills. They can, get that backpack for this and their kid back to school. I mean, for us growing up, for my mom, $300 a month for a child under 6 or $250 a month when I was older than 6 would have been so life-changing. I mean, when I got to the NFL, I had to get the snacks for our linebacker room once. And I went to the store and I bought all the budget snacks, all the buy one, get one free snacks. I brought in it wasn't Chips Ahoy, it was like, the chocolate Ahoy, and
mateys.
The mateys, and and I brought it in the next day and I put it down, and my teammates were like, "What the heck is this?"
This is what we're buying in the NFL.
And they're like, "Ricky, what do you have here?" And I said, "I got snacks. This is a really good deal," because that's how I grew up. Was you try to make every single penny count.
That's right.
If it's buy one get one free, then we're gonna have 2 of those. So I don't know what it is. We're gonna have 2 of them, and so having $300 or $250 extra a month come to you to help you with the cost of dealing with the family. I mean, that's just so important for family. I don't think people realize how important it is.
Yeah.
And I even tell you one more story about that. The North Texas Food Bank, which is one of our great institutions like the Y here, has told me that they can track when the child tax credit hits bank accounts because their demand goes down. And then in the weeks until it comes back, their demand goes back up. And that's just how important it is. So extending that program and helping families with that. I mean, these are, three things that are really going to make it so much easier for families to try and get by, which is going to unlock the potential of their kids, and of their parents.
Yes, to all of that. That is so true. That's, working in a facility that was our primary demographic. Everything, absolutely, to everything you said. We saw that regularly with parents, unfortunately, having to choose between sometimes healthcare costs and childcare costs and some of these impossible decisions every day. Kudos. That's excellent. Yeah. That's so excellent.
Yeah, we had an opportunity to reach out to the community, and Williams Chicken gave away a car to a young lady. And not only did they give the car away, but they gave away gas for a year as well as insurance for a year. And yes, the response from her was great, but the understanding of that it takes more than just this one thing.
Right? Yeah,
it is. You got to add on it. Every little extra dollar helps out a family. And I'm privileged to be in a situation that I don't need those resources, but hey, I was there. At one point, our family was there, and so. Man, kudos to you for the great things that you are doing right now. But I do have a question for you. So you've been in the NFL and you've been in politics, and you are in politics. Like, tell me your starstruck moment, whether it was NFL or whether in politics. Like, who was that one that you was like, oh, wow, I'm meeting this person?
Michelle Obama. Yeah, Michelle Obama.
I would be starstruck too.
That would get me. That would get me.
Wait a minute, not President Obama.
Right. Yeah. No offense to Barack.
Right?
Yeah. Okay. No offense to President Obama. I was also, very impressed by meeting him. But Michelle was just. I mean, first of all, the way I met her was that I was interning in the White House, and she spoke to the interns, and then she stayed behind to hug every single intern. I'm talking about she stayed there for, it must have been hours, to hug every single intern and to have a little conversation with them. And when my time came to give her a hug, my heart just started beating so fast. And I was like, she's so tall and she's so beautiful and she's so wonderful, and I just didn't even really know what to say. And so I was going to say, I think you're amazing. And then give her a hug. But I ended up kind of whispering in her ear while I was hugging her, which was not really my intention.
Oh, yeah. I could see.
So did you freeze up?
Yeah, well, with heels on, she's my height, and I'm pretty tall, so I was a little bit already taken aback by that. And then she stepped forward, and I stepped forward, so the distance closed faster than I thought it was going to. If you know what I'm saying.
You wasn't ready.
I wasn't ready. And so I ended up whispering in her ear, "I think you're amazing." And I got to be honest.
It's gonna come.
Yeah, it's hard.
And he endorsed you after all of that.
Right. I always thought if I ever saw her again, I might be like, I'm really sorry about that, but she probably has so many people, be awkward with her.
I didn't mean to be kind of creepy, ma'am. I'm sorry. I just, wow.
Yeah. But she was definitely the one. I mean, I've never acted like that around anybody. I mean, Tom Brady, whatever. I don't care about that, Right. But Michelle Obama, oh my goodness. Yeah.
That's a good one. Yeah.
Man, just graceful lady, man.
Yeah.
And pretty incredible. I mean, you've gotten to interact with a lot of great people. You are doing a lot of great work.
Amazing work.
We appreciate it from the Y. I felt like I was somebody when you were running and all the commercials kept saying YMCA. I was like, yeah, that's who I work for.
When he came to one of our events, I almost had a Michelle Obama moment with him. I said, I'm not going to step in because I might have been the one to whisper inappropriately. I'm going to tell the truth today.
One of the best tweets I ever saw was because I'll be honest. At some point, you have to stop looking at what people say online. So I've kind of stopped. But one of the best tweets I ever saw was somebody said, "I've never seen a public official talk about the YMCA more than Colin Allred." And I mean, I definitely. I mean, I bring it into almost everything that I say. So
but you do it with such an authenticity and an ease. And I will say that too. You were very Michelle Obama-ish in how you just interacted with the crowd after the YMCA event, and you just talked, and it didn't seem put on, or it didn't seem like you were, creating this moment for a photo op. It was just Colin revisiting some old friends. We got this shared experience, and we all drank the Kool-Aid, and it was great. So thank you for that, sir. Even if no one else outside the Y ever knew, it meant a lot to all of the staff and the folks who work for this Y and volunteer for this Y to know how genuinely connected you are to this organization.
Well, listen, I think, I used to, I still know a quote from President Obama where he said, there's a lot of quiet heroes out there in our country, people who they don't have their name in the paper, they're not going to have their name up in lights, but they're the ones who are doing the work every day that allows us to be who we are. And I think people who volunteer at the Y, people who make it a place where a kid like me can come in and have their life changed. I mean, what kind of a value can you put on that? I don't know.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, CAUSENETIC family, you all have been in a treat. I had a treat today. My man, Congressman Colin Allred.
Yes.
The people's choice.
Fancy today. Oh my gosh, we're so fancy.
Hey, so thank you all for listening to CAUSENETIC.
We're tackling topics and telling the truth.
Hey, subscribe and listen to us weekly.
Please don't be shy. Give us a 5-star review.
And as always,
be dynamic.
be phenomenal.
Be CAUSENETIC.